Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube citizens. The title of this message is Why Do I Hate My Wife? Well, I know the title catches people's attention, but really, it's not that I hate my wife. What it is that my love for Yah is greater than my love for my wife. And so, according to Matthew's 6:24 says, "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God or and mammon." So just talking about the difference. If you have two people and you obey one and don't obey the other one, the one you obey, the one that you obey is the one that you love, and the one you don't is going to feel like you despise. And so my wife feels the day that I decided to keep the Sabbath day holy and start making my life revolve around Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, is when hell broke loose. And is when my wife, after 16 years of, I would thought it was a beautiful marriage, for the most part, not necessarily biblical now that I know what biblical marriage looks like, but we were content. And, but for 16 years, my whole life was revolved around making my wife happy. That's what it was about. It was about providing for her, making her happy, try to be romantic, try to do all, I even got the Katinas, her favorite music Christian group, to come out here on her 40th birthday. I spent over 10 grand on her 40th birthday, paid for these music groups to come in, put her in a hotel so she can come in the night before and try to do a surprise thing, it took 6 months planning. Just trying. That's the first time where I had to hide, who I was talking to on the phone and everything. Not that I ever, did that with my wife, but that was the first time because I was trying to make this a special event so that my wife know that I love her. After the event, people talked about like, man, you outdid us, man. That's gonna be a tough act to follow, and that probably lasted maybe a week. I probably got a week out of that. But the Bible makes it clear that whoever you are submitted to or whoever you are focused on is the one you love and the other you despise. Now, as I look at this stuff, let me read this one. It says this. This is what Jesus says. He says, "If any man comes to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sister, yea, his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. And whosoever do not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciples." So clearly, Jesus is saying, either you love me or your father. Either you love me or your mother. Either you love me or your wife. Either you love me or your children. Either you love me or your brother. Either you love me or your sister. I chose Jesus. At the end of the day, I ended up choosing Jesus. And because my wife was focused on her will, on her desires, she felt hate by me. She felt that my actions was hateful towards her to the point that she felt despised, ended up despising me and leaving me by the counsel of a whole bunch of Christians. I can't tell you it was Christians that advised her to leave because my allegiance went from trying to please my wife to now pleasing Jesus. Now, I truly believe because who's over me? I'll say like Pastor Dow. Pastor Dow is motivated. Everything he does has to do about the King. He's about Yeshua HaMashiach. I don't take it personal. I'm like encouraging him because I want to be about Jesus' business. I want to be about the Father's business. Jesus says, whoever, it says in Matthew 12:50, it says, "For whosoever shall do the will of my Father, which is in heaven, is the same as my brother, my sister, and my mother." This is when Jesus was Mom was looking for him, brother was looking for him, and Jesus, who's my mother and my brother and my sister? Whoever does the will of my Father who is in heaven is my mother, my brother, and my sister. And so if my wife's true desire was to do the will of the Father, she wouldn't look at my action as hateful to her. But because she does, because she was about her own business, her own will, it created a feel that she felt that I hated her because I was no longer under her influence anymore, as strong as it was with Jesus. Now I tell you this stuff. I told you guys what when I had my Damascus experience, my vision, my dream, where I felt that Yah was clearly showing me that I've been putting my wife before Him, and that I would be tested. And I told him I love him. No, I love you. I love you. And I had to make some decisions now, because one of the things that kept me one of the things that allowed me for 16 years to be dedicated to my wife is because of the ability that she had to reject me. And I feared the rejection, especially maybe because of what I was taught by my mom, not maybe, but what I was taught by my mom. And then my wife also, because of what we've been learning about, what I've learned, as I discover my marriage, my wife, her background, Tampo, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I did a little, video on Tampo and just what I've learned. But that is what my wife did to control this man. Because of my fear of rejection, a fear of loss or whatever, she was able to manipulate and control me. And so when I had that dream, it doesn't mean I don't fear rejection anymore. I still fear rejection. But the fear of being rejected by the Most High was greater than the rejection that my wife could give me. And so when I decided to go to Straightway to go see how they do the Sabbath, I knew that my wife would reject me. Now, I didn't expect her to leave me. I expected her to reject me, give me attitude, pretty much act like a bitch. I mean, just whatever you want to call it. But I expected that because that's what she does. That is what she does. When she doesn't get her way, she withhold her affection. Just like I've learned from the Filipino culture, that's what they do. They withhold their affection and everything. Well, she went all out. Not only withheld her affection, she took away the affection of my children and just disappeared at a pastor house for over 40 days. 40 or 50 days was in hiding. Didn't talk to my children for over 40, maybe one or two times I was able just to say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And that was it. They had me like a desperate dog. It was sickening, wicked. Once again, by Christians, a Christian pastor. One is a woman pastor and the other one is a male pastor. And that's a Jezebel and Ahab. And I tell you right now, the woman is the head of that church. You can say that the man he's just a figurehead. The woman runs the show. Deb Malik, pastor, they call her, I can't call her pastor, but Deb Malik is a co-pastor. And then you got Matt Malik from Refuge. So anyway, my desire, my fear of being rejected by the Most High, he says, if you deny me before man, I will deny you before my Father. And so that fear of being rejected by the Most High was greater than the fear that the rejection that my wife can give me. Jesus says this, and I'm just quoting, but Jesus says this. He says, "Don't fear man who can destroy the body, but fear him who has the power to destroy your body and your soul in hell." So this faith that I have in Jesus is real, and I want to encourage you, all you people, you find out what you don't have to speak it. But just know what is the thing that could keep you out of heaven, because the very thing that you fear most, or if it's rejection, if it's money, if it's losing money, or I don't know, fame, whatever, I don't know, but whatever the polygyny. So for some women, it's like, man, that right there will make me, whatever that thing that will keep you from heaven. You really need to get that in check. You really need to identify it and understand that is probably how the Satan will try to come and try to take you out. So, since I've had this loss, I got to admit, there's such a freedom. It reminds me of the Pilgrim Progress, where the guy that his name is Christian in the movie, but where there was a point in his journey where all of that load went off, and there's such a freedom. I'm no longer working at my former employee anymore. I don't have my wife, my children. I mean, I am free. I am free indeed. And now I can go wherever Yeshua HaMashiach leads me and not have to worry about checking in with a wife. And even if I had a wife now, my attitude is I got to go and I'll be back when I get back. Just keep the house down. Keep it going. But there's a freedom that I have now that I am solely committed to Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ. And so I wouldn't have experienced this type of freedom. I wouldn't experience liberation like this. He says he comes to set the captives free. And now I am free. I'm no longer under the bondage of Christianity. I'm no longer under the bondage of my wife anymore. I should never have been under there. But that's what Christianity taught me. And now I'm free to serve the Most High. And so I want to encourage all of you guys. It may be tough. If you're in the situation, in that fight, understand that if you lose your life, if you lose your life, you will save it. You truly will save it. But if you save your life, you will lose it. So I'm here to encourage you guys. And women, Yah would never ask you to choose between him and your husband. Get underneath your husband's authority, and you submit to him as he submit to him just as if he was Jesus Christ himself. You submit to him, because that can keep you. Cannot go around your husband. Just as a man can't go around Jesus to get to the Father, a woman who has a husband cannot go around her husband. You just can't. He is the way, the truth, and the life. Just as Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. You cannot. So I highly recommend you women, do not be a fool and destroy your home and pluck your home. It can happen. And the devil will come after you because you're the weaker vessel. You will find shelter. You will find safety underneath your husband's cover. You stay underneath that cover as your husband stays underneath the cover of Yeshua HaMashiach. So anyway, I just want to close. Tell me what you guys think. I always want to get your comments. I love your comments. If this is encouraging you, if this is helping you, if you have any questions about my thinking. But this is why I hate my wife. But you know that I don't hate her. But my love for Yeshua is greater than my love for my wife and my children. So obviously she's going to feel hated because I made a choice. I chose Yeshua over her. And because her desire was about her will, her desire, and it wasn't according to his will, that's why she feels hated and despised, and that's why she left. So anyway, I hope this was an encouragement to you. Please subscribe to my video. I'm going to put out just more videos as things that I can pull up from my life experience and as an encouragement to you all as I open up my life to the world. Because this is not meant to be kept a secret. I am putting it out there because there's nothing new under the sun. No one is exempt from what Jesus says. If you choose to follow, if you choose to live godly in Christ Jesus, you will suffer persecution. So anyway, I hope this was a blessing. Shalom, shalom.